I didn't really know what I wanted when I switched. I just knew the sport bike wasn't getting ridden. Now after time on the cruiser, I understand what kind of rider I actually am, and hopefully soon where I'm headed next.
I'm on a bit of a gravel road. See, I'm adventure biking. Hello, cows! Got a bridge. Ooh, looks like there's some gravel. The reason I quit the sport bike was not because I hated it. I actually really liked that bike. But I was ready for a change because I wasn't riding the bike anymore. Once I got it back to my house that I bought last year, I realized I just wasn't riding it, and I didn't feel like it was something that I wanted to ride. So I got rid of it. It was actually a great bike. Really good handling, super fast, really fun. I didn't know this at the time, but the way I wanted to ride had changed. I was just looking for something different. Did I expect getting a cruiser? No. I just wanted something different. I didn't know where I wanted to go next. I didn't know any of that. Honestly, the only reason I bought this bike, the Honda Shadow Phantom, was because I knew cruisers were comfortable. I didn't really know about any other bike. To me, at the time, the bikes were only sports bikes or cruisers to me. Those were the only two bikes that I essentially cared about. I only cared about sport bikes, really, but I knew cruisers were a thing because you see Harleys out on the road all the time. And so I was like, oh, well, that's probably my next step then, right? After a year of owning a cruiser, first off, I can say I'm very glad I did. But second off, I can tell you this is not the end game. I do not want this to be the end game. My end game, don't know when that's going to be, but that's going to be an adventure bike. Because after a year of owning this bike and actually riding again, I've kind of pinpointed the kind of riding that I want to do. And that's adventure riding. Now, adventure riding meaning anything from dirt roads to long highway stints. I want best of both worlds, and I want to be able to handle both. But last year, to me, there wasn't a clear, it wasn't a clear choice. I kind of saw adventure bikes, and I just thought of enduros, like the 300, which is honestly a great, like those 300s are great adventure bikes. Don't get me wrong. But I just thought of that, where you really need a lot of different landscape and dirt roads and stuff like that. Ohio's got its own beauty, trust me, but it doesn't have what you see on other YouTube videos, like, you know, Utah, the Moab, and Sweden, and you know, all those places. It just doesn't have that kind of jaw-dropping awe. And plus, I've lived here my whole life, so I went with the cruiser. And let me tell you, I think that was a great decision, because it helped me find out the end game of riding. It helped me discover what I want to do later on, hopefully in my mid-30s and up, when I have maybe a little more time, maybe I'm a little more financially stable, and I can afford to go on these month trips and just month trips on a motorbike. And the reason I didn't go adventure bike right away from the sport bike, first off, I didn't really know much about them. I didn't do that much research. I literally looked up cruiser, saw this bike, and I said, I want that, so I wrote a check. Second thing I can say now, even though I didn't think about it at the time, was those long-range adventure bikes that can do kind of everything that you want, highway and off-road, they're pretty expensive, and I wasn't ready for that expense yet, as I just bought a house and everything. So I just really wasn't ready for a $15,000 Honda Africa Twin, brand new. I just wasn't ready for it. And so in hindsight, that's why the cruiser made sense. It has slowed me down. It's got me seeing this beautiful state that I'm in, and hopefully beyond. I did take a trip to Kentucky with this thing, and I'll probably do that trip again, and I'll document it. But just look at that, beautiful. But that's why the Cruiser made sense to me, because I wanted a change, and this is a kind of 180 switch from where I was. And I'm glad I did that, because I didn't have to take incremental steps. Don't get me wrong, I love Cruisers. I might even end up keeping this bike when I get that Honda Africa Twin, hopefully. But I'm going to take this thing to a lot of places, and it's going to be awesome. But that's why the Cruiser made sense. So what surprised me about the Cruiser actually was the comfort coming from the sport bike. I mentioned that in previous videos. I'm trying not to step over myself here, but it surprised me with the comfort and just the character that it had. It wasn't just ready to just rip like a sport bike was. It honestly, it's got its own tone, it's got its own demeanor about it. I just feel so different when I ride this bike. I feel like everything's totally fine. It's just super casual. Another thing that surprised me about this bike was just the availability of aftermarket stuff. After years of, granted this isn't the new year of what they had, but just the amount of mods and stuff I can put, and the amount of people that have worked on it over the decades that this bike has been out. So there's always something, and I want to get into working on this thing and just working on bikes in general. And I think this is a good starting bike, because there's so much help for the amateur user like me on how to do specific things to the bike. That's another thing that surprised me. Now, I did not research that before I bought it. Now, there are some downsides with a Cruiser, at least the one I have. The handling is not as good as an inline 4. There are more vibrations. Granted, you can get stuff to mitigate that, but that's two downsides that I just mentioned. The vibrations aren't terrible. On highway speeds they are, but the handling, it doesn't have that just complete weave. You know, you can just weave in and out of stuff, and the suspension on this bike is arguably worse. It's only got 3 inches of travel in the rear. So when you hit a bump on that back rear, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna send a shock straight up your spine. I'm on a bit of a gravel road. See, I'm adventure biking. Adventure biking on a shadow. Yeah, I'm not gonna go too fast on this bad boy. Hello, cows! Well, I am officially lost. Oh, this looks kind of interesting. Alright, we got a stop sign up ahead. Let's figure out where I am. Alright. I'm guessing I'll be taking a right. Oh, look at that. Got a bridge. Ooh, looks like there's some gravel. So that's how I ended up with a cruiser. And after a year of owning this bike, it seems like this is the perfect next step in finding exactly what kind of rider I am. And I think I solved that.
So no, I don't regret switching. Not because the cruiser is perfect, but because it helped me understand where I actually want to go next as a rider. Thank you guys so much for watching, and if you really enjoyed this, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe. It means a lot to me, and thank you for all the support.